Hi, I'm Lucas with Steris Animal Health. Let's take a look at how to test for scissor sharpness using our scissor sharpness testing material. I have 4 versions of our sharpness testing material. Our standard red for scissors longer than 4.5 inches, our standard yellow for scissors shorter than 4.5 inches, and the non-latex versions of these, orange and peach in color respectively. We usually recommend sharpness testing during your instrument processing. Now this is also a great time to inspect your instruments for cracks, rust, or other issues. Now let's walk through the process and see if these scissors pass the test. I'll start with my 6 3/4 inch Mayo scissors. I'll take the red material, which is thicker and better simulates the tissue you'll be cutting with this length scissor. Make sure you're properly holding the scissor as if performing surgery. Cut through the material using 3/4 of the blade and cut all the way through to the distal tip. You want to use a swift motion and pull towards you as you cut. After several cuts, extract the scissors. If the scissors don't pinch or grab the material, then your scissors are sharp. Now let's try some more delicate scissors with our standard yellow material for scissors 4.5 inches and shorter. We'll use the same process as before. If we deem that a scissor is ready for a procedure, it's good practice to test how do the scissors feel. Scissors should open and close smoothly and shouldn't jump, grind, or feel loose. So, did your scissors pass the test?
Overall appearance of the kerosene. Check the screws. You want to make sure that these screws are not chewed up and that there's sharp burrs. And you do this by just rubbing your finger over the screw and make sure it's not catching. And there's also screws on the handle. You want to check for microfractures around the screw. And you also want to check the screw for burrs that could possibly cut a glove. And you always check the function. Make sure the kerosene is not too loose, not too tight. One of the last things you do is you want to check the sharpness. And when you cut the card, you should be able to take a nice clean cut and pull away without the piece attached to the card. It should be a clean cut. This is a double action ronger. And once again, the first thing you do when you inspect it is look for bioburden. And these rongers have quite a few little hiding spots. But the first thing you would do is check the jaws. Any residue, any little pieces of bone or blood. And then when the jaws connect, there's a tiny little hole here. And you have to look inside there, inside the chamber. You have to squeeze the ronger and look inside these little gaps here. Because when this is going through the wash, it's closed. It's a closed area. So if there's a chunk of bone, it's not going to be able to be released. And then on the back of the handle, there's also another little hole where the instrument meets you have to check. And then you just check the overall function, make sure there's no sharp burrs. Again, check the screws for burrs. A lot of times these screws get chewed up, so you always have to rub them with your finger, make sure they're not sharp. Same with the springs. Check the screws, check for microfractures. Quite often there's going to be microfractures right where the screw hole is. And then the last thing you do is check the sharpness. Should be a clean cut, a clean punch. Bite and pull away, and the paper should come away without being attached to the card.
Position the stone against the right lateral surface at 12 o'clock and tilt the top of the stone to approximately 3 minutes past 12 o'clock. Initiate sharpening in a consistent up and down motion, starting at the heel third and continuing to the middle third and finally the toe third. It is important to remember that the blade of a Gracie curette is straight and not curved. When sharpening, do not rotate the stone as you move from the heel to the toe of the blade. Instead, proceed with sharpening in a straight line from the heel to toe, as this will preserve the original blade design.
So how to use it is you're going to make sure you treat it just like a tooth. So have a fulcrum on it somewhere, the top or the side, somewhere, and you're going to use it with your instrument. Like you would a calculus removal stroke and pull up. And to make sure the instrument's sharp, you should feel a nice biting edge, cutting edge on that stick. If you put pressure like you would a calculus removal stroke and it's super slidey like this, it's hard to get that initial bite. It probably means that edge needs to be touched up a little bit with your sharpening stone or card. So have these on hand. They're really helpful. Check both sides. The biggest things, again, make sure you're testing the last tip third or toe third. That's where you're going to be using it.